What's going on? Welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to talk to you about Lucid. I want to go over some of the current data points, latest and updates, and go over everything else you need to know. But first, make sure to hit that thumbs up, and with that, let's get right to it. So during the pre-market, it is up 0.94%, had a nice spike to $2.20, so it might be some indication of where the market might want to take it during the actual trading day. Aside from that though, as I've mentioned in my dedicated Lucid video, 217 is going to be that key pivot. So ultimately, just kind of watch for it to, best case scenario, close above that. But at the same time, you will be seeing shorts, which so far during the pre-market, they're not doing all that much. They might try to suppress, and especially around that 217. So again, just watch for that. One thing that did come out after hours on Friday was this right here, a definitive 14A. And so ultimately in this document, it did signal a very bullish point. So if I were Mark, I would kind of instantly jump on Bloomberg or another interview and bring this up and kind of explain why this was done. Even though this is still relatively positive, a lot of people just don't understand it. So when it comes down to the preliminary and even essentially the first definitive 14A, it did signal that all the authorized shares were going to stay the same. So it was not going to be affected by the reverse stock split. So you can kind of see this as a point right here where it does say that the total number of authorized shares of the company's common stock would remain unchanged following the reverse stock split. And so essentially that is a massive red flag, because that usually is seen as company's intention just to massively dilute, because it changes the actual outstanding shares but keeps the authorized shares the same. So in case you don't understand what that is, authorized shares is the cap that a company can kind of dilute up to. Of course, you can always raise it through a shareholder meeting and whatever else through the appropriate channels. But nonetheless, if a reverse stock split is occurring, most of the time it is kind of affected. So the authorized shares do change unless it is stated. So that's why I think a lot of people and maybe institutions were selling, because if you read between the lines, it shows that Lucid wants to dilute. But based on this amended document that they put out after hours on Friday, the total number of authorized shares of the company's stock, common stock, will be proportionately reduced in accordance with the exchange ratio. So it looks like they did kind of, level heads did prevail, realize that, I don't know if this was an oversight or whatever else, but it looks like the whole authorized shares is now going to be affected by the reverse stock split. And it's kind of interesting. They keep talking as though it's passed already. I know I feel like it's going to be passed because of just the presence of the PIF, but oddly enough, there's still a lot of people on social media that believe that the reverse stock split, there's still a chance that it won't happen. I don't know, whatever. I'm not going to talk about that. But anyways, nonetheless, this update is huge and very bullish, because it does signal that the company doesn't plan on diluting excessively. Of course, I think every Lucid investor knows that they do need money, and most likely, in my opinion, will come between tail end of Q3 and Q4. This is why Mark was unable to really answer that question on Bloomberg, the last interview. But nonetheless, this is very bullish. So if I were Lucid, I would instantly start explaining and talking about this. The only negative about doing this is that the damage has already been done. So you already pretty much started off with a negative, and now you realize that, hey, maybe it's not in the being perceived as positive, let's switch it up. It just, the damage has already been done. And I think in reality that the whole fear about the reverse stock split, and then potentially as well keeping the authorized shares the same, that was one of the main causes that did kind of break it, especially from the Uber deal. It just went down like a crazy rock. And so this, like I said, the damage has already been done. You can't really fix that at this stage in the game. So if I were Mark, like I said, just try and do some marketing damage control, because yeah, I think this is a very bullish move that they are doing, but it needs to be really portrayed as that and told and shared to investors through, again, appropriate favorite channels, and Mark likes to do interviews, so might as well give him another opportunity to kind of talk about this. So yeah, let me know your general thoughts. This is kind of the big thing that did come out after hours on Friday, which again, some people are trying to digest on exactly what it is. And I think still, even generally speaking about the whole reverse stock split, people are kind of torn. Some people like it. Some people think that having a reverse stock split is going to prompt a squeeze. So at the end of the day, we'll just have to kind of wait and see. In my opinion, I don't think reverse stock splits do prompt squeezes, because there's been a lot of heavily shorted stocks in the past that have done multiple reverse stock splits and they don't go through any sort of squeeze. If you believe in, let's say, naked shorting or whatever else, and wear those tinfoil hats, then yeah, possibly those types of level of shorts, the legal shorting, that might need to cover before, of course, a reverse stock split when they do a share count. But that's pretty much it in my opinion. So hopefully I don't burst some bubbles as far as that. But yeah, let me know your general thoughts on this. Do you think that this is bullish, or do you think that still the mentality about the whole reverse stock split, regardless of what happens behind the scenes with the authorized shares, is still bearish? What's your kind of viewpoint on that? No new analyst ratings or anything like that coming out associated to Lucid today. So moral of the story, just watch for this 217 to be that kind of point that it does, best case scenario, close above. And if there are some big updates, then I'll do a PM video just to give you a quick summary of what shorts did and everything. But as I've mentioned in the past, if there is some good updates, then I will kind of do a pre-market video. So here it is. Hopefully everyone has an amazing day. One final thing, pop over to my Patreon if you're looking for some solid buy signals on stocks, options, crypto, many of which have been absolutely on point. Definitely worthwhile to pop over there and take a look. With all that said, appreciate all of you watching.